Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the one and only, the Lumberjack Landlord. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this one. This one's right up my alley.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do here, folks, is I'm going to read a text or a comment that came on a Facebook group that I'm a part of. I've already done this with Jason Pritchard, the best flipper in my market, or my best investor in my market. Also, Greg Dickerson, who was in a similar situation in the last crisis. So we're not going to ask Matt to kind of break down this individual situation. I think we've done that twice already. I want you to step back from this and warn the greater group, right? What were the things going on that got to this situation, right? This is not any "I told you so's" or ha-has, but it's
no,
folks,
definitely no.
Don't do these things because you might end up in this spot. You ready for this?
I'm ready. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to read it again just so we're all on the same page, and then we'll talk about the bigger picture. Hi, everyone. I'm a fix and flipper that perhaps, like some of you, is in a hard spot. I have 7 flips right now. 3 have been on the market since June and not moving. We are switching them to rentals to at least offset some of our hard money costs, but I've maxed out everything: my HELOC, my credit cards, my bank. I need a small business loan or a way to consolidate everything to get it off my personal finances. I've been flipping for 6+ years, but officially started my business 10 months ago. Statement loans aren't being approved because it's less than a year and I don't have any consistent deposits, and they won't take average. DSCR loans could at least help refinance the hard money, but I need help with all the materials and labor costs that I have on my personal credit cards also. My credit score is tanked due to this also. What suggestions do you have for me? Please help. So again, Jason, Greg have helped him personally. Folks, those are on those playlists. But let's talk about the bigger picture, because I think we've seen a lot of people think real estate investing is easy, and they've jumped on the gas pedal maybe when they're ready for it. That's kind of something that I saw in this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is I look at the only time I'll ever talk about size of portfolio is to really help people understand the scope, right? Because if you've got 2 rentals, you shouldn't have 2 projects.
Right.
Right. And I've got 47 buildings. And so we've got 3 buildings that are projects. It's less than 10%. It's not 10% of my unit count. It's below 10% of everything. But they were great deals. They were value adds, and they're things that I know about. So I think really the lesson that I would want anyone to kind of glean from this is you really need to stay conservative. Don't get over your skis, even when times are good. The key is in cost management and leaving yourself as much flexibility as you can possibly get. Because I think what I hear this guy saying is, now it's October. It was June when these things went on the market.
Yeah.
I would have gotten more aggressive faster and taken the heat, right? Because I don't know what all the numbers are that he has into these deals. I don't know how much profit he's making. This is actually the time where you turn into capital preservation mode.
Yes.
And you worry much less about profit. You worry everything about capital preservation, getting out alive. That's what you worry most about. But this is the stuff that we've been talking about for year and a half. This is why BRRRR is an advanced strategy. And even somebody that's advanced, if you have too much going on and that's your core business, this is how things go sideways for you quickly. Is he wasn't expecting rates to go from 3 to 7.5 or 8.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things that I want to, in this painful story, which every time I read still hurts, because I can feel, I feel it. Right.
Yeah.
First thing is urgency.
Yeah.
Right. Again, just based on this quote, it's October. He's listed stuff in June. Should have, and again, I don't know anything that happened in the situation, but you should have been cutting prices much earlier. Yep. At some point in a situation like this, it's not about the profit anymore. It's about cleaning up the debt.
Yes.
Right. Because again, right. Sounds like he's got hard money for the purchase, but credit cards for the repairs. Yeah. Hey, if I don't make any money on the deal, at least I can get my credit card paid down. Because at this point, debt is it's like a boa constrictor, right? It's just around this individual. Yeah. It's getting every day is another interest payment.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. That's
so that was one.
So let's call that for people. That's burn rate.
Oh,
what's your burn rate? And your burn rate, if you don't know what your burn rate is on the daily, like every day my project sits. I have this one project. Every day it sits, it costs me $117.
It's Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday.
Sunday, Monday, every morning I wake up, it's another $117 I wrote for that to sit there and not be done.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So that's one thing. The other thing I took in this is it seems like, and again, it doesn't say this, so I am reading a little bit between the lines. It seems
Mhm.
like this individual wants debt to fix a debt problem. That generally doesn't work. Give me more debt. Give me more debt. Give me more debt. I need more debt. I need more debt. That's at some point, debt's not the answer. And I think we've gotten there in this case.
I think so. I think the one thing that I would maybe do outside the box is I'm sure people are looking for some return on their capital, right? And so to turn some of your equity into accessible capital is, I think, going to be key here. So if you say to somebody, you know, you've got, let's say, $100,000 in a deal, and the rent is whatever, you're profiting $1,000 a month on rent, so it's 12,000 a year, that's 12%. You can say to somebody, I can give you, you know, for half the equity, I'll give you half the income.
I mean, yeah, I mean, at this point, I would be giving everything away. I'd be trying to
Anything
get
you can do,
super
right?
small.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anything you can do to just try and get out of those deals. The problem is that likely those deals might be over leveraged. And here's the other thing too, is what does renting do for him?
Well, that's the big thing I wanted to go to next.
I think that's a horrible idea.
Oh, it's perhaps the biggest red flag of all of them.
Right.
Renting the 3 out that haven't sold since June feels good for the moment. But let's just have an honest conversation.
Yeah.
Would you rather buy a house that's fully dialed in and empty and staged, or do you want to buy a house that has tenants in that you have to kick out and then go clean and repair, even if they're great tenants, which 90+% are?
Yep.
Heaven forbid they're, nasty tenants with dogs or pets or cats, and they screw. I mean, it's all kinds of bad. Putting tenants in there is
It's
just a horrible idea.
It's no longer new.
It's no longer new.
No
and
longer new.
It feels good for a moment, but you've just whacked, I don't know, 10% off the price. I mean,
we did a house for somebody. It was purposeful. They were an employee of ours. We expected them to be there be here with us for 5 years.
Right.
They went a little bit icky baluki. And after about 18 months, it was no longer a fit and they needed to move on. When they left, I had just finished that house. When they left, it cost me $11,000 to make it right again.
Yeah.
11 grand. Here's what I can tell you. He was getting a deal on the rent while he was working for me. And it cost me $11,000 when he split. And he gave me basically like 4 days notice. It's like, oh yeah, hey, we're moving in 4 days. Oh, hey, fantastic. Sounds awesome. So that's the thing. That's the one thing that when I read this, I was like, this guy doesn't get capital infusion. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get how money works. That monthly rent is like Chinese water torture. It's a drop on your forehead on the first of every month. And you just became a landlord, which if you run your landlording business, anything like you run a burr, that's not going to be favorable to you because you don't have the infrastructure in place to be a landlord.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
so
a couple Just is a couple other things in here, right? I mean, I understand. I know lots of people, both this changing market and last. I've been doing this a long time. There were a lot of people last time, just like this time, that didn't appreciate that the market made them.
Yes,
right.
for sure.
Been flipping for 6 years. All you've known is up and to the right. Every time your project was delayed, you made more money. You think you're Warren Buffett. You probably said stuff like that, which I did last time. So I get it. But the market made you. And sometimes you get a little too forward. The couple more points on this. As I kind of talked about with Greg, again, not knowing any more than what's in this comment, bankruptcy is not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's just not, right? It's part of the financial system. It's not fun. It's certainly going to damage relationships. It's going to hurt your business if you choose to do this anymore. For years, there's a financial strain for, 2, 4, 8, whatever it is, 10 years. But it won't kill you. It doesn't kill you.
Nope. I think, this is, if I had it to do over again, I probably would have done more flips in the beginning to create more cash for myself.
Yeah, chunk money.
Chunk money, exactly. Because then it buys you the next thing. So in the very beginning, I was too scared of that. And so I was very conservative. Everything was buy it, bring it back, rent it, buy it, bring it back, rent it. And everyone would tell me, you're so slow, you're so slow, you're so slow.
Me too.
I think 3 out of 4 of those guys are out of business.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And again, I think the challenges with this one is it doesn't matter how, 7 burrs at the same time. You got to have
Well, technically they're flips, but it's the same answer. 7 burrs, 7 flips.
You have to have a pretty fat balance sheet. And the problem is, this is what I hate about all those stupid courses about other people's money.
Yeah,
Because this is the risk. It's not your money. You didn't earn it. You don't understand what it takes to run the business as an operator.
I was just thinking, so I did 56 flips between 18 and early, I guess late 21, because I don't think I did any in 2022.
Yeah.
So let's call that 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
The most projects I ever had going on at one time was 3.
Yep. Sure.
Right. And I never wanted to do more than 3, right? Because one was always near the end, one was kind of in the middle, and one was at the gut stage. And I would argue that most of the time, if you were going to average it, we probably had 2 going at the same time.
Sure.
6?
Ooh,
7. 7. Yeah, 7.
7. Not
I
6,
couldn't.
7.
Yeah, I couldn't. And again, I had private capital. I had, these 6 and 20 loans, and it was all set up to win. But I couldn't imagine, like you say, that burn rate. I mean, that'd be a daily burn rate of like $1,200 or something. It's crazy.
It's probably higher. And that's what's scary, right? The other thing too is these big projects that I have, they are 2 of them are occupied.
Oh, that's fun.
So 2 of them are occupied. It's actually really good. And the reason why is because if I see that we are not getting favorable terms, favorable times, favorable supply chain.
Yeah.
What's the worst that happens? I make 17% of my money with people staying there renting.
Yeah. You can buy time that way.
Exactly. And that's the thing is it's slow and steady wins the race. It's not fighting the tape or fighting the Fed, which is everybody in that business right now is doing, because they cannot get out fast enough. And you're literally like every single thing becomes a federal case because you're like another 2 weeks just passed. I'm looking at another 1/3 of a point in my mortgage that I'm supposed to have this mortgage for years and years. And I'm tired of hearing in a year, you can just refi out. You don't know that. You don't know that at all. This could be 1981. You could be looking at a 10% rate, an 11% rate. You don't know that, period. Period. You don't know that.
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah. So again, I guess the message for folks out there taking from this is speed, size, all of that stuff feels good when the economy is racing. You feel like a genius. You gotta make sure you can survive the bad days as well, because market cycles are real. Both you and I grew very, very slow in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like you,
boringly
slow. Boring, one every 6 or 9 months.
Yeah.
It was okay. So again, I feel for this individual. I unfortunately know there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of people in similar situations.
Yeah.
I would tell you to, get small, conserve cash, give away equity, change positions. This guy's got 3 projects on the market. Should have cut prices in July. Got 4 projects in the works. I would try to find debt partners or equity partners or something. You got to get small. And then lastly, worst comes to worst, bankruptcy's there for a reason. It's not fun to say, but companies go through bankruptcy all the time, clean themselves up, come out stronger. Individuals do all as well. So closing thoughts, and then where people can find you.
Yeah, I feel bad for the guy. I do. It's tough because the thing that you've built over the last 6 years got so big, and everybody thought that it was just a matter of putting another 100 grand in, and then I was going to get X return on that 100 grand. And so in all likelihood, this is not just going to impact him. It's going to impact his family. It's going to impact his friends. It's going to impact the people he took debt from. It's going to impact some of the hard money lenders. And he knows that is business suicide if those people don't get what they're due. So, I feel for you. I think the most important thing that I would do is, as quickly as you possibly can, none of this 4-month time frame stuff. You need to be shopping whatever equity you have in those other assets, getting access to that equity through investors and giving them some of the return on the monthly nut on the rent that you're getting, that's what I would be doing in an absolute heartbeat, because that's going to give you more, we call it weeks of life. Brian Lebo calls it months of life, but you're measuring it by the week now. You're not measuring it by the month. Month is a luxury to you.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Get it to weeks, get it to 10 or 12 or 14 weeks, and then be managing that process, and then do everything that you can to speed things up and to get things transitioned. I literally walked away from 2 flip deals this week. There were 2 flip deals gone bad. They got to the point of framing, and then the rest is history. It's like, I'm not picking up that project with where it sits, not unless you're willing to take 30% less.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah.
It's going to be interesting the next 12, 18, 24 months. Get prepared. We've talked about that earlier, Gary V video 1. So Matt, where can people find you?
Lumberjack Landlord on YouTube and Instagram at 11:30 a.m. Eastern times. We have our live stream where you can ask your questions and I give you my answers.
Very cool, man. Thanks again.
Thanks, Mike.